Girl, she is shiny. Okay. Skincare swimwear. Hold on. I put it on mute while I get myself together. Everyone, come into the room. Hi, Sarah. Okay. I am shiny. How are you guys? Okay, for those of you guys who are on hashtag replay gang, please check the description box below for the time that we actually start. Um, you know, we're living our lives. Hi, Barbara. Hello, Tracy. Hi, Sarah. Are you doing 90 Day Fiance after this? I was going to do 90 Day Fiance tomorrow. It's late. It's 8:30 where I'm at. I don't have anything to do tomorrow, so I was going to do it tomorrow. I know. I owe you guys everything. I owe 90 Day Fiance. I owe Love After Lockup. So we'll do that tomorrow. Hi, Babs. Hi, I love makeup this much. Hi, Renee. I love makeup this much. You're new. Hello, welcome. Hi, Renee. And hello, Tony. I haven't seen you in a long time. How are you? Okay, Babs, thank you. Tomorrow's perfect. I love it. Sarah's disappointed. She's like, okay. I'll see you tomorrow for sure. 90 Day Fiance was crazy this week. Yes, Sarah, come back tomorrow, please. Oh, Yoshi, are you ready to come in? Okay. Hi.
Hey everyone. Hey Wah.
Are you? Hi. So this is the point of the segment I haven't started yet, where I give everybody like about 6 minutes to come in.
Oh, okay.
Do you have two monitors? Are you looking?
I've got three, so yeah, I should probably be looking
Yeah.
at this one.
You're like me at work. I always have to remember to look at my small monitor. Oh, you have a
Yeah.
whole system now. Good for you. 3 monitors. That's the only way to work.
When you're an accountant, you need all the monitors for all the numbers.
You listen, when you're in HR too, I hate working from home just because of the fact. I mean, I love working from home. Don't get me wrong. I love it. Love, love, love it. But if I could get a 3 monitor system the way I have at work, I would get all my work done so much faster. I love it. Welcome. Thank you so much. I love makeup this much. Yes, this is your first live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Nina for real. Hi. You're this. I've never met you before, Nina. So hello as well. Oh, enjoy Vegas. Enjoy Vegas, Renee. For sure, catch the replay. Oh, you can't see it. Yoshi, look at your screen. Look at the.
Oh, hey. Some people saying hi. Hey everyone.
Yes. Oh, I'm glad you're replay gang. Hi, Jihan. You're new too. Hello, welcome. Hi, Wa. Thanks for doing the Lord's work and reviewing this show for us. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I need a beverage. Okay, I'll be back. Let me go get a drink. I've already imbibed, so I need some water now. I'll be back. Okay. Yoshi, can you see the chat from your end?
I see when it pops up on the screen.
But you don't see it to the right of your screen?
Oh, I see. Okay, it was in private chat, so now I switched over to comments.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see everything now.
Okay, great. All right. You guys, we're going to get started very soon. 15 seconds. Yes, don't forget to give a thumbs up. Hello. Okay, great, Jamila. Thank you. Welcome to the chat. I've never seen you before. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2. What do I say? Hey guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah. Melanated. Welcome to my recap of Seeking Brother Husband, Season 1, Episode 6, the season finale, My Two Dads. My name is Wah, and if you're new to my channel, I do recaps of relationship reality TV shows such as Seeking Brother Husband, Seeking a Sister Wife, Married at First Sight, Love After Lockup, 90 Day Fiance, Love is Blind. So if you are at all interested in that content, please go ahead and give this channel a thumbs up and subscribe if you like to as well. If you feel like you get the hee ha-has watching this and you want to give your girl a tip, you can do so down below. You can give Cash App, we can do Venmo, you can do PayPal, however you choose. But if you are an international girly and you don't have those options, you can just go a couple of steps over from the thumbs up button and give your girl a thank you. Thank you so much to those of you who have given in the past. I absolutely appreciate it. And let's jump right into this episode. We have my co-host, who has randomly been my co-host for every time I've done this show, is my good friend, Yoshi.
Hey, everyone.
So he's going to give his insight, just his opinions. He's a a straight male friend of mine. So we're getting that perspective from this very interesting dichotomy between the couples. Now, as we said in episode 1, these folks are not polyandrous. Most of them are in open relationships. And I will tell you who those people are as we go along. It's just so interesting that not necessarily the idea of being a sister wife makes sense to me because of the way I think I've kind of been socialized with this world and knowing about polygamy throughout the world. But brother husband doesn't quite make sense to me. Like when I think about Tiger and Carl and their camaraderie, or Dustin wanting to be best friends with Vincent, I am slightly confused when it's the exact same thing for women. And I don't know if I'm socialized to believe that men don't have this capability or that it's not right somehow. I don't know that I could do it where the two men were friends. Like I would be like, no. I don't even want you to know each other's names. Like separate completely. So let's jump right into this episode. In this episode called My Two Dads, it's basically about Shara and her two men, Patrick. So let's just talk about them first. The first scene that I have with Shara and the two men, as I call them, which is Babes, aka Patrick, and Valentine or Valentino. One of those two. Am I getting the two shows messed up?
Valentino, I think, yeah.
Okay, Valentino. So they go to the doctor, and Pat and Valentino are there with her. And her doctor's name is Dr. Slaughter. I don't know if I could go to an OBGYN whose last name was Slaughter. I don't know if you'd be, I mean, maybe it's different for men, but like to be spread eagle in front of somebody whose name is Slaughter, just doesn't do well for me. So Patrick and Valentino are in this beautiful pink doctor's office with her, and we find out that Shara is in her 40s. Now, I thought she was in her 30s. I knew she was a little older based on her life experience, but I didn't think she was in her 40s. And the doctor said that she had ovaries of a 25-year-old. And I was like slightly jealous because I definitely have ovaries of a 55-year-old. So yeah, that's my little history about me. Not a 55-year-old, but definitely like on my last legs. Okay. And so, I mean, I know I already asked you, Yoshi, if you could sit in this doctor's office with this woman, but what did you think of Patrick and Valentino and Shara in the doctor's office. Any thoughts?
I mean, if I'm Valentino, everything's just going so fast, right? So like he lives in a different state and she's like right off the bat, she's trying to date this guy and planting the seed that like, hey, I want a kid. So for him, I mean, for me to be in his shoes, right, and thinking about how fast this is going, and all of a sudden, after a couple of dates, I'm like in the doctor's office and getting the report on the ovarian situation. It just seems like that would be very overwhelming for me.
Yeah, I mean, but I think he's open to having children. And even though it feels overwhelming, I imagine that he's in his late 30s. I mean, not to judge by the gray hair, but he's got a little gray in his beard and he's letting it happen. So I feel like he's in his late 30s. And so maybe it's a situation of, well, I know he probably knows he does want kids. And I think that sometimes folks think that there is a right time to have kids. And there definitely is in certain circumstances. Like if you're a drug addict, you should wait until you're not. Or if you are extremely poor, you should wait until you're not. But he has a business. And I think it's the normal trepidation of not having everything in line before you choose to have kids. But he does like Yara. I mean, what's her name? Shara. I'm naming another character from another show. He does like Shara. And I think that he's open to this idea. And I think they said at the beginning of their segment that they had been dating for a few months now, which is still early. I'm not saying it's not early. It's definitely still early. I just don't what I don't understand is Shara's relationship with Patrick. I listen. I think the reason why I recap relationship reality shows is because I don't understand like how one gets into a relationship. I don't understand like the stage after dating. So like it's not it's not been a part of my life. So I can't imagine being married to somebody and then going through such a traumatic situation where they're no longer having sex, yet having that person in a doctor's office trying to figure out if I can have kids. I thought that was weird. What do you think of that?
Yeah, it was definitely weird. I mean, I don't know what's going through Patrick's mind. It sounds like he's kind of just going along for the ride. He's taking the approach that if he's hit his quota. He's got some like grown ass kids, and like five of them or something. I forgot how many, but like he's got
Yeah. Yeah.
a whole onslaught of his own children, and he's like, all right, but also being understanding that she doesn't have any of her own, and that this may be something that she wants to fulfill for herself. So it doesn't seem like he's super maybe thrilled, but he's also not objecting super hard, and he's kind of just go along for the ride, being supportive, being in the doctor's office and things like that.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, being supportive. But he did mention in this segment that he didn't know whether or not he wanted to have kids. Whereas when they were washing cars, he was like, I'm not interested in having kids. And so I kind of feel like he's feeling a ways about her potentially having kids with another man, which is quite interesting. So they go through that situation, and then the next scene, her and Patrick are painting. And she's like, Patrick and I often paint together because I'm an artist. And at that moment, I was like, what does she do for money? How does she stay kept in these fabulous outfits? Does she actually work? And is her situation with Patrick a situation where he pays for everything? Because he says he's super busy, and Valentino has the same kind of busy lifestyle as him. And I'm like, is Shara a kept woman? And then I loved every moment of it after that. I'm so happy for her. To be a kept woman and like to have, I don't know. Anyways, she's maybe not working. I don't know. She has a husband and a boyfriend. And I'm like, and her wigs don't look too wiggy. And she's cute all the time. So I'm like, oh, I'm into it. So they're painting on the porch, and she has some news to tell Valentino that she hasn't had her cycle in 3 weeks. And he doesn't know that. So they're painting, and they involve him in the painting, and then they sit down to have this conversation. And he seemed very shocked about the situation. And Patrick, what do you make of Patrick's response? Do you remember Patrick was like, I need some water, and he got up and left?
Yeah, I mean, he was suddenly very parched, and he got the water, and yeah, I wasn't sure if that was just like overly dramatized editing, because he did come back and he's like, no, I was just really thirsty, and trying to play it off like he wasn't shocked. So that was interesting.
Yeah. I don't know, the kind of tension, not tension, but the leading on of us believing that Patrick is somehow jealous or kind of upset that she might be having a child with someone else is very interesting. And if there was a season 2, I'd be interested in seeing how their story goes. So the ending of their relationship is that she wasn't pregnant and Valentino has moved to Georgia and they're feeling out, and he's actually moved in with Patrick and her. So that's the part that's weird to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, no. I
And
don't
going
want
down the same road they went with the other guy. What's his name?
Noble.
Noble. Yeah. So I mean, maybe this guy's less bummy than Noble, so he'll like he's got his own business and all that, and he seems like he's doing something right. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they have a second season and an update on their situation.
Yeah, this was only a 6-episode season, which is super shocking. That's very short. That's like not as a mini series or sorry, I have to sneeze. There's not a mini series, but it's like a, I don't know, it's really short. So I don't know if this is going to be picked up again. It's also fraud. It's also fake because not these people are not polyandry. So Bab says this show is a study in human nature. So is 90 Day. Yeah, Seeking Sister Wife makes a little, I mean, works a little bit better. Hi, Deidria. How are you? All right. Let's move on to the next couple, but I gotta blow my nose. Give me a second. Okay. Whew, thank you. All right. Next couple that we are going to talk about. Speaking of people who do not want kids, and I forgot to show the pictures of them because I'm a terrible YouTuber. But let's talk about Mike and Elisa. This was a very confusing segment for me. Give me your first thoughts about these two.
I mean, they're probably of all the couples, they're kind of at the forefront of this journey, and they're definitely having struggles. We're seeing kind of like that the awkwardness of broaching the topic with your parents and how that's not necessarily working out favorably. It seems like they've got a long way to go. They're having a lot of squabbles over certain things. They're not really aligned on whether or not they want to even have kids, let alone how this foray into polyandry is going to work out. So yeah, and I think Renee's saying like Elisa does seem like she's kind of tough. Like she's kind of really like it seems like she's got Mike on a tight leash and she's kind of really controlling the situation. And Mike he's got this idea that he's got full control and he's making these decisions, autonomously. But I do kind of sense that Elisa's really heavy-handed in how she's influencing Mike's decisions.
You know what? I don't agree. I see why you think that, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I think that is intentional with the edit because they had her say a lot of things in the very first episode, like, "Well, this person is an artist, unlike you." Like it's almost like their script is not fully written, and they allowed them to say things that they shouldn't have said. And especially Elisa, because she's really doubled. Like, I mean, we know outside of the show that Elisa and Mike had a podcast talking about their open marriage. So he's allowed to date other people too. So they got into this show with the framing of polyandry and how they've decided to set up their conversations. She's saying things as like the actor, and he's not yes anding. I don't know how to explain that. He's not good at the improv with her. So she will say stuff and it comes out harsh and he doesn't have a response to it because he doesn't know how to act. Like that's what it feels like to me. And so I fully believe I just refuse to believe that this grown ass man is allowing this. I mean, I don't know. Unless he has low self esteem and he doesn't think much of himself and he thinks that Alyssa is like the best thing that ever happened to him, which could very well be true. I don't think that he would not stand kind of in his power, especially over the kids thing. So we start out this episode with them kicking a ball on the beach, and they're talking about their last conversation at the vineyard when their parents were together. And they're talking about their choices as being polyamorous, really, or doing polyandry, and about Mike's mother's reaction. So Mike at this point has spoken to his mom and somehow placated her, and now she's okay, but I don't think she's okay. And Elisa says that it sounds like your mom doesn't believe you. It sounds like your mom thinks that I've somehow forced you into this behavior. And just in natural me fashion, I just refuse to imagine a scenario in which women somehow either emasculate men, or women are somehow like magic makers and you can steal a man from his wife. Like there's this somehow in the patriarchy, to me, there's this idea that women are inherently nefarious and like they can make a man do something, or they can steal a man from his wife, or and I think that there are deceptive people, and those people could be women. But I think in general, when people choose to make these decisions, it's always this idea, except for when it comes to like certain factors, that women, do you think, I don't know, I don't think a man who was fully not interested in polyandry could ever just have his wife talk him into it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it just seems for me that Elisa is very, she's got, like, he made a comment towards the end of that first segment where he's like, I wish she was more logical and less passionate or something along those lines.
Yes.
And it seems like, because I mean, maybe it's just his style, right? Mike is an engineer and he's very like methodical, logical, and that's kind of how he delivers. That's how he broaches topics, and that's how he discusses these things on the show. Whereas Elisa's a little bit more, I guess, reactionary with certain topics. So I think it's you're seeing this difference where Elisa, when something maybe didn't go according to plan, she almost like chastises him, like, "Oh, why did you say that? Like now your mom's going to think we're even more confused," and it's almost like a scolding. Where and Mike, Mike is more. He doesn't really take that tone with Elisa as much. So I feel like I'm like the mom. I'm not fully convinced that this was 100% Mike's idea, even though he even says it out of his own mouth. It just seems like maybe she just found a way to like steer him along those lines and then like make him feel like it was his idea. I don't know. That's just how I feel. But
Okay. Maybe my thought pattern is a comment on the man that I would not like to be with. Like I can't imagine a situation where I'm ever with a man who I can convince to do something that he doesn't want to do. But I'm not that kind of person. Like I'm not a convincer. I'm like either you want to do this or you don't. Like I
yeah, well, we're all not all the same. So I think some men are very stubborn, and you can't do anything to change their mind and steer them a certain way. But I think people like Mike, who are a little bit more logical, a little bit more like you could tell he's not like an alpha or any definition nearing the terminology alpha. He's very like understanding. He's even after he got cheated on, he's like, okay, well, let's talk about this and how can we get over this? Like maybe you want to see other people, like it wasn't like I'm done with you. Let's end this. I want a divorce. Like he just approached it very logically. Like how can we salvage this marriage? And I think he's just a different type of guy. He's maybe not the most like maybe not the quintessential guy that comes up when you think of like a strong male. I guess.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Am I logical? Because I think that would I divorce somebody if they cheated on me? Only if they did it loudly. I don't know what that means. But like, unfortunately, if people found out, I would have to. Okay. But if no one found out and I found out, I think I would try to work it out with that person, because I don't necessarily think that cheating is, I mean, it depends on the reason why the person cheated. So anyways, but I like your insight, so thank you for that. So they're kicking this ball and she starts talking about having kids. And they had, I guess, with the circumstances is she's like, why did you bring up the fact about kids? I think that he brought it up because he was trying to throw something in so that his mother wouldn't be so mad. And he was trying to throw her a bone, but he ended up throwing Elisa under the bus when he did that because he led some kind of idea in front of two people who were probably upset about the fact that they don't want kids, so that they could feel comforted in this moment. And he ends up saying, well, we did have a conversation that one time. And she's like, yes, that was a conversation between you and I did not expect you to bring that conversation up in this context because we weren't even talking about that at all. And then she says, I don't want to have kids. I don't think that a woman's duty is to just like fawn over wanting to have children. So let's not talk about this again. And I'm tired of having to explain myself to other people of why I don't have kids. And I mean, I kind of felt her in that moment with that. I mean, because I don't think it's fair when people ask folks like, why don't you have kids? Or you want to have kids and like whatever, because it's a personal choice. But I got at the end of that episode or end of that segment that he is open to reevaluating the idea at the end of it. Do you think that has something to do with the way his mind works? I guess.
Yeah, and he probably didn't get a definitive answer, and she may not. I'm making a bunch of jumping to a lot of conclusions here. But
that's all we do, Yoshi. All we do on this channel is jump to conclusion and make assertions. Okay.
Yeah, that's all you can do at this point, right? Because we're missing a lot of context. But I'm thinking maybe that they had an open conversation, and there's like, oh well, maybe. And it's like, okay, maybe. Like we don't both want him right now, but maybe in the future. And she's like, yeah, sure. And then like just kind of ended the conversation there. And all of a sudden, he obviously recognized he brought it up at a bad time when the focus was not children; it was about the polyandry and how they're navigating that. And yeah, I think that just could have gone sideways. And she got defensive, like, "Oh, why are you bringing this up? I don't want kids." And maybe she had a self dialogue with herself, and since that last time they had a conversation, decided she didn't want kids, but they never circled back on and looped back on it and decided as a couple that they don't want kids. Because Mike did seem like he was kind of confused, like, "Oh well, I thought maybe." And he's logical enough from the way I see him operate that unless you tell him definitively at the time, then it's open for conversation in the future. It just wasn't a bad time. It was just a bad time to pick it up again.
Yeah, it's so interesting when just this kind of off topic. Whenever I meet women who definitively know that they don't want children, based on my circumstances, I always wish that I had that. I wish that I was somebody who was like, absolutely not. Like, yeah, I wish that I was somebody who's absolutely not. I mean, and the truth is like, I'm okay with not, because I most likely won't, but how strong she felt in that. And I'm not plagued with that. If nobody's asking me over and over again whether or not I want to have kids or if I have kids, like people ask me and I'm like, oh yeah, no. And they're like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, great. Like there's no like, you should have kids or you blah, blah, blah. I'm kind of in the either or category. So I can only imagine that someone who's married is kind of expected to have kids, or someone who is in like a long-term relationship there's this kind of expectation that you will one day. I love the idea of like having all of my money and buying expensive shoes for the rest of my life. But I don't love the idea of being a single parent. So it's like those are my two choices. Okay. So she doesn't want to talk about it ever again. And the end of their segment is that they are still trying, I guess, the polyandry fake nonsense. But she hasn't found anybody yet. She's still looking.
Yeah, it seems like no substantial update. They're kind of just still stumbling through that process in the early stages of discovering what this entails, and yeah, I'm not sure if there is a season 2, if they're going to have any updates, but it seems like they're kind of stumbling through.
Yeah, I also don't want to watch them season 2.
Yeah, I wouldn't miss it.
I don't give a shit about them, especially because it's so fake, fraud, or as reality gays say, fraudacity. So so the next couple that we are going to talk about, or couples, are Kim, Dustin, and Vincent. Um, this was interesting. So with them is I've watched this episode twice, okay? So or no, 1.5 times. 1.5 times. So I saw the Dustin and Kim segment, the first part of it, twice. And at first glance, when Dustin has set up this like blow up hot tub and these candles and the roses all over the ground, I was like, oh my God, how cheesy. Like, we always see this setup. Like, is there nothing else more inventive? And then I thought, like, if somebody had done that for me, I would be like, oh. But I don't know. I guess I was moving around my apartment at the time, like doing stuff. And then I watched it the second time and I was like, that's sweet. Like, aw, roses. And even though they have short on time and they don't have like a babysitter a lot of the time, but he is realizing that her relationship with Vincent is coming to an end or is going in a slump, and he wanted to like bring back their relationship. So I thought it was cute. What did you think of that scene? I mean, there's not much to think, but what did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was cute that they're still making an attempt. I mean, at least Dustin is making an attempt to still continue to be romantic, and it's not just he's not trying to just be comfortable old dude just sitting back. For some reason, I was distracted by the fact that he put rose petals in the jacuzzi, and I could only think of how my pool guy would yell at me for having clogged the filters with rose petals, and he's like, "What the heck are you doing, dude?" I was like, yeah, is that okay? Like for the filters?
Yeah, but you have an actual hot tub. So like, I mean, not an actual, what I mean is like, you have an in the ground hot tub. So
Yeah.
yes, it's a slightly different situation that you're managing with. But yeah, I definitely, he was doing it because of the stress of her family. I guess the fact that her family didn't show up to their little picnic thing, in which they were like faking that those hot dogs and hamburgers were really delicious. They were like, this is good. This is great. I'm like, I have never, I don't know. My dad has cooked whatever. I'm just eating it. Like, I'm just scarfing it down. I don't ever think to be like, great dinner, dad. Because I'm slightly ungrateful. But
I'm sure your dad would love to hear compliments about his cooking.
you're right. But most of the time, me and my sister specifically, we go, what is dad cooking? And then we open it up and we're like, mm-mm. And then he's like, well, then don't eat it then. That's the relationship, because my dad will put shit together. And it's like, nobody wants that experiment. But there are times like when he makes oxtails that we're like, oh, dad, you're making oxtails. And I'll go stand next to him and he'll elbow me to get out of the way, get out of the kitchen while he's in there. So yeah, we do it. But thank you. I will absolutely, the next time he makes something, I will be like, oh my God, dad, this is the best, and see what his reaction is. Yeah. So anyways, her family didn't come, and she was upset that her family didn't come. Her brother came, who was looking a little like Ringo Starr. It was giving a look, and I was like, oh, this is your brother? Anyways, so Dustin wanted to do something sweet for her, and I thought that was really nice. So then the next scene is that they kind of talk about how they had doubts and thoughts about leaving this lifestyle behind because of her family and because of how hard it was. And then she even thought about settling for Vincent. Like, when he told her that he didn't want her to date other people, she thought about being like, you know what, it's okay, I can just date him. And I thought to myself, what a calling, like, to just be like, no, I have to date other men. Like, I have to be able to date other men. Because I think even Kenya, when she had two, she was just with Tiger for 10 years and didn't think of getting another person. So I could definitely see where Vincent was coming from with like kind of feeling pushed out. Because it was so early on in their relationship for her to be like, oh, I want to date somebody else. But I think that I would have a hard time. So I mean, I know you said you wouldn't be into it, but what did you think of this part of their segment?
This is the way you're talking about Kim, Dustin, Vincent.
Mm-hmm. Where she's thinking that about leaving the lifestyle because of her family and possibly leaving it and settling for Vin.
I mean, it's definitely, I can see why she's thinking that. I think the family not, supporting her and kind of just carving her out of their lives is obviously a little devastating for her. But yeah, I'm not really, because she did seem to have such a good situation with Vincent. I'm not really sure what else she's looking for, right? And at the end, when essentially they kind of like called it quits, it was, and then to find out like the resolution was that, oh, they're still like evaluating whether or not this lifestyle is even for them. And it's like, well, did you bite off more, more than you can chew? You had a good situation already. You kind of basically broke it off with Vincent to find more, but now you're like questioning whether you even want to be in a polyamorous situation. So yeah, just interesting.
Yeah, I thought that because they're on a pause with it right now, and maybe the breakup with Vincent was a little more harder for her than she had anticipated. Also, the scene where they broke up, where they're sitting on that cement um, bench by the river under the like cherry blossoms, was very beautiful. It's like, what a great scene to have as you break up with somebody. And I was actually proud of him for standing strong in what he believed and how he was more interested in that like a monogamous situation. Because I think if it were me and my man were to want somebody else after I felt like he and I didn't have like a solid foundation before he moved on, then I think I would have felt the same way too. And I think that if you are a part of this life, that either you need to be with somebody who has other people, or you need to have a solid foundation with that person before you move on to find somebody else so that they can feel secure. And speaking of having a solid foundation with somebody so that you could feel secure, let's move on to Kenya and her two husbands. What are their names? Tiger and Carl? Yeah. So in this segment, they are planning for their wedding. Tiger with the contacts I just um and Kenya. And so have you ever worn contacts?
I do not wear contacts.
Have you ever worn them?
No.
Okay. You've never like let me get some amber contacts so that my eyes can be even more brown? You guys can't see it, but Yoshi has like light brown eyes. So if you wore contacts, you would look like a vampire, I think. Like you're piercing somebody's eyes, somebody's soul with your super amber eyes. But anyways, yeah, I hate it when like I hate light eyes, fake light eyes on like dark skin. Like melodies. I think it looks so crazy. Now, I've seen those folks and those indigenous people who are like, I don't know if they're in Africa or they're on an island where they're like deeply melanated people like my skin tone with like blonde hair and blue eyes. And that looks naturally great, but like Tiger's, he's too old for that. He's just too old for that shenanigans. Anyways, so they go ice skating and we meet two of Kenya and Carl's friends. I mean, kids. The daughter, I mean, their names are so original. The daughter's name had 2 syllables. The son's name had 3 syllables, like Timu or Kinu. I'm not quite sure what the daughter's name was and the son's names were, but they were very like non-Anglo-Saxon names. And the son has dreads like his dad, and the daughter has braids. And I don't think any of the kids look like Kenya. So I thought it was really interesting. So, anyways, I am always looking for how people look like their parents. That's just one of my things because I don't think I look like either of my parents. So, like, how do people look like their kids? Anyways, so they go ice skating because they want to tell the kids that Carl is going to officiate the wedding between Kenya and Tiger. And we find out that Tiger helped them raise the kids. And so everyone's saying it's a long time coming. Kenya's really excited. She's wearing the craziest red pants. And I was like, who told you to wear those pants? What did you think of this scene between them and the family?
I thought it was super sweet, actually. If I'm not mistaken, isn't this the first time we see their kids?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's kind of just because I was always curious, like when they talked about, oh yeah, me and Carl have lived together for X amount of years, and and we brought Tiger along, and the kids they were looped in and they were understanding, and they were part of the process. We made sure to disclose XYZ. I was always wondering, like, how did that work with the kids? So it's kind of cool to see the kids come out in the final episode and hear their perspective, and they were fully supportive. So, and I agree with Wah. Definitely looks like her dad.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Great. That's good to know. I think when I see my pictures of my mother when she was younger, I think I can see myself in her. But yeah, that's so funny. I look like my dad.
Yeah, so it was just cool to see the kids kind of come out and verbalize the support, and how I think the daughter made that comment of like, oh, sometimes my dad didn't answer the phone, but I needed money, so I called Tiger and he came to the rescue. And it's kind of like they seem like they've had it figured out. They they took the right approach. And I think Kenya said, like, I wasn't necessarily looking for the kids to fully understand everything, but I wanted them to be involved in the process and understand kind of what's going on.
Yes, I actually really liked that. I love the fact that she can call Tiger for that. That really shows me like how integral he was into raising of the kids. And I mean, their ceremony was a little weird to me. Like when they looked at Carl and they were like, "Thank you for everything," and thank you for Carl being like the head of their relationship and like steering the course. And listen, let me say, I think Carl is great. First of all, one, I think he's great. Two, I think like the fact that he's 52 and he doesn't look 52, I'm like, good for Carl. Carl's a good guy. I'm looking, and I have a bunch of pictures next to me, and I have a picture of my dad. I'm like, I look like this person.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, great. Okay, great. Yeah. So everyone's saying it. Why you look like your dad. Okay, Rasta Pablo. Can you tell me why you hate Kenya? I really need to know. Like, hate is a strong word, so you need to explain if you want to. And thank you for being here. I haven't seen you in a minute, so I'm glad you're doing well. Why do you hate Kenya? So anyways, yeah, I really like the fact that they have that kind of family unit. And she was kind of upset that his family wasn't there, or he mentioned that his family wasn't there and was glad. There was a lot of people there, enough people there, I thought. I love the fact that everybody was wearing white at the wedding. And there was a little moment before the wedding where it was all the guys outside setting the wedding stuff up, and we see Bishop, which is his kid. It's okay. And then, which is Tiger's kid. And then we go inside where the two girls are having a conversation, and her daughter, with the 2 syllables, is talking to her. And I thought, wow, Kenya and her daughter are made for TV. That entire exchange where the daughter kept the conversation going by asking like layers of questions. So the first thing was that they talked about the fact that she's getting back with David, the fact that they're having a traditional wedding, and the fact that that she wants to have rings on all different fingers for all her different men. And that was all of her daughter prompting that conversation. I mean, this is just from me as like a theater major's like perspective, like watching the way the conversation moved forward. And when she's like, please go and get me my crown, go get me my crown. Like, I thought it was really cute. Anytime I see a mother and daughter, especially a Black mother and daughter duo talking like that, it always kind of melts my heart because I didn't have that experience with my Black mother. So I am like kind of like, yay, someone had that experience. Seeing everybody wearing white at their wedding. You don't watch 90 Day Fiance, but everybody in the audience who does, did you not think it was kind of Ifa? Like, was it an Ifa ceremony? And that lady who was like shaking the maracas, was not a maracas, who was shaking the thing. Like, I was like, wow, she was voluptuous in the front. There was a side boob situation, and I was like, ma'am, you are not secure in that outfit. So, oh, look at this. Jamila said, Kenya officiated Carl's wedding with his wife. The kids are used to this. Oh, good. Rasta Pablo says she's too self-absorbed. Rasta Pablo, you sound like a He-Man woman hater. What do you mean she's too self-absorbed? Anyways, you can have your opinion. I'm not going to challenge you anymore. But what did you think of the ceremony and whatever is going on? What did you think?
I mean, the ceremony was cute because it was just like a small group. It was a little makeshift, you know. I wasn't sure, you know, not that they needed some big grand, you know, wedding, but I just thought it would be a little bit more than just like being out in a random field with some flowers and a, you know, like 5 chairs. Uh, but you know, it was very cute. I liked that everyone was wearing white. You know, I think they took the time to like, you know, Tiger took the time to acknowledge Carl. He's up there officiating the wedding and how, you know, he was kind of integral to the ceremony even happening, right? If Carl had not talked to Kenya and verbalized kind of some of the, you know, feelings that Tiger was experiencing, maybe this wouldn't have even happened. You know, and it was important to him, even despite his own parents not wanting to take part, you know, part of this process. It was still important. I thought, you know, ultimately it took Kenya to kind of propose to Tiger, but it was cool to see all that like mutual love. You know, Carl's up there, he's part of the process. Tiger shouts him out for being, you know, one of the people that helped kind of sway Kenya, and everyone just was seemed like there's a lot of love in that. There was a word they used. I don't know if you remember that. Did you catch on to that? It was a word that I hadn't heard, but it's supposed to be something around like the love of God upon you or
Oh,
something.
yeah, Ashe.
Ashe. Yeah, I've never heard that word. Are you
It's
familiar?
like it's a word that gets used, and I'm not sure if it's like, I don't know what West African language it means. Like I see the power of God in you or something like that. It is often used in from what I know, it's often used in American adaptation of African rituals, not rituals, African like processes, that I haven't actually heard an African from Africa use. And I'm not saying that it's not valid. I just think that culturally, sometimes African Americans will take on the indigenous religion or ways of being of West Africa's cultures that we don't necessarily see when we see West African identities. So it might be, I don't know if it's Swahili, which is East African, or it is West African. I'm not sure, but I've definitely heard it before in like, I feel like I not at church that I heard it, but I went to an African Methodist Episcopal church. So a lot of the things in my church, anytime we could like pull up to Africa, we were like, yeah, we're black. We wore kente cloths at work. I mean, at church during Black History Month. Like my church was like, I mean, and not every African Methodist Episcopal does that, but my Los Angeles African Methodist Episcopal was like, if you want to wear your African attire, you can wear it anytime. So whether or not you're African or not. Um, but anyways, yeah. So Ashe. Sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent. Continue your thought.
No, I mean, I just I hadn't heard that word before. And thanks, Barbara. She put the definition in the comments. I see the God in you. It means so. It's it was just a very heartwarming ceremony, albeit small. And I think it satisfied. Seems like, you know, Tiger's insecurities and doubts about where he kind of slots in this trifecta. And it was interesting to see, you know, the at the end when they talk about, you know, they're kind of the update on them, right? And they're like building a 3 bedroom house. So I guess Tiger's getting his own bedroom.
Yeah.
And have her own bedroom, but she's also like dating 2 new guys. So to be
Not
able,
Dave, which I was like, what happened to David?
oh, did they say that? It wasn't. It wasn't.
Yeah, 2 new guys, and I was assuming that it wasn't David.
Oh, okay.
Um, I also wanted them to get like a 4 bedroom home or like a 5 bedroom home. Where are their kids gonna stay when they go and visit?
Gotta be empty nesters.
Yes, it's from the Yoruba culture. Okay, so it's West African.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Okay, I think that is it. Any last? What did you think of this overall? This show?
I mean, I think I told you from the very beginning, like Kenya, Tiger, Carl, they were kind of like my favorite couple. Just because they had been, I mean, they're older. They seems like they really like successfully navigated this kind of very complex, intricate relationship that is a big challenge to the normal, you know, monogamous relationship. But everyone else on the show, I feel like they're just lacking in content or just struggling, and they're just kind of like stumbling along. Only Kenya, Carl, and Tiger that kind of really see it all kind of come together. The support of the kids and having the kids come at the end, and there's like a ceremony. But everyone else was kind of just like a lackluster, you know, update. We saw like Elisa and Mike kind of just squabble throughout the entire season. And like, the whole Vincent drama, like he was just kind of half there, half not, feeling insecure. That kind of lasted the entire season. I just didn't see a lot of action from the other couples, but I did kind of enjoy watching the progression of Kenya, Carl, and Tiger.
Yeah, Seeking Sister Wife is a little bit more fun to watch, only because A, the season is longer. B, it's a mixture of Mormon who are like fundamentalists who believe in polygamy, and then like others who are not that. And so like you watch somebody who it's a part of their culture and religion go through this and still struggle, who have rules and like the way it works. And some of the women are actually from polygamous families themselves. Some of the women are just Mormon who chose to live this lifestyle. And then you have a Christian couple who choose to do it. And it feels like the wife is being pulled the entire way. And she cries all the time. Poor Danielle. But she's in this to win this with her husband, Garrett. And I think in general, most of the audience doesn't like Garrett, but it's fun to watch them. And then there's like a Black couple who do it, and I'm actually friends with him on Instagram. The Black couple who do it. Yeah. So I'm not a YouTuber who does interviews with the cast, but they were like, "We'll do an interview with you." Because I didn't make fun of them. I was like, listen, I support he's short, and I'm like, I support a short Black king. So,
Yes.
So like, I was a fan of theirs, and so yeah, Seeking Sister Wife is a little bit better. Which you have my Discovery Plus, so you're welcome to watch whatever you want to watch.
Thank you. Yeah, you really roped me into this reality television.
Yeah, when you told me you watched the second episode, I was like, got him. All right then. Well, you guys, thank you so much for joining us. We've been talking for almost an hour, so thank you, Yoshi, for giving me some of your evening. And yeah, any last words? Anything to say before we hang this up? You don't have to. You can say no.
No, I had fun. I think it was fun to recap this very interesting, wonky show. It's interesting that this is how I start my YouTube guest speaker career. Yeah, debut on this. I've not done any YouTube lives before, so Wah kind of roped me into this, and it's been fun. Y'all are fun, and I like your comments and appreciate these evenings together.
Yes, I mean, this is the smallest audience I have. Like normally I have 100 people in the room and the comments are like bump, 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 bump. So like Renee is a person who's always in, Barb is a person, Babs, who I call her Babs, is a person who's always in. But I want to thank everybody Jasmine is always in. I want to thank everybody else. Oh, Deidre, I'm seeing all these people. Deidre is always in, Jasmine's always in, Rasa Pablo jumps in sometimes, haven't seen him in a while, Guy's okay. Ketty Wee, I see you, girl. How are you? Or person, I don't know if you're a girl. Lotus Flower, thank you so much, you guys, for all being here. Absolutely appreciate you. JW, I didn't even see you come in. Hello. But thank you guys for being such a good audience with him, with having Yoshi on, and for being like the dedicated 44 who watch this. And all right, you guys, I will talk to you later. Remember to be you, be true, and find your place. Bye.
Bye.
And jump in the line, rock your body on time.